Greetings, mental patients. My name is Tormental, and today on my channel, which is also named Tormental, we are going to play Two Interviewees, a minigame by Mauro Vanetti. I want Mauro Vanetti, please! Graphics by blah, 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 blah. Idea by Andrea and Claudia. Andrea Brenna and Claudia Molinari. English translation, tested by, etc. and so forth. Blah, blah, blah. I heart Kufifi. Okay, there's a English translation mistake already, but we shall start the game. This basically, actually before I start, this is a simulator I found on Game Jolt, where you're interviewing a male and a female applicant for a job. So we'll see what's going on here. Martin, stay calm. Deep breaths. Be confident. Irene, stay calm. Deep breaths. Be confident. How do we... Well, we can't really say right now whether the man is on the left or right, and whether the female is on the left or right. We could have a woman with a very short blonde haircut, who is naturally wide in frame, and we could have a very slender dude with sort of a blue, long-haired thing going on, you know, boy in a band. I'll wear my jewelry. I'd better not. Well, already we have a problem, because I don't know what this dude would be wearing for jewelry, but, you know, whatever. You know, let's go for the more professional look. Wearing too much glittery shit, you know, probably is going to distract your employer. So, HR recruiter. That's me. Hello. Oh wait, no, it's two different companies: Business Services Incorporated and Studio Team Limited. Oh wait, I don't understand. Two different companies. How am I the recruiter for two different companies? Well, whatever. 9 a.m. interview. HR recruiter. Right on time. On time. HR recruiter. Being on time for an interview is a quality I appreciate. Oh, if I had selected to put on jewelry, would I be late? I don't know. Martin Smith and Irene Wilson. HR recruiter. I've read your CV carefully. So by not wearing jewelry, Martin looks good, and Irene, it says pretty but sloppy. I don't get to decide, mind you. This is not something I get to decide as to how the manager is reacting. The game maker has decided that this is how managers react. Okay. HR recruiter, let's start the interview. Yes. How would you describe yourself? Competent, ambitious professional, a discreet and diligent person. What do you mean I don't get it? Well, by all means, let's go for the dumb fuck answer. No, discreet and diligent, I mean, if you're working for, like, the mafia, maybe? You know, I'm very discreet. I'm not gonna tell nobody nothing. I would say a competent, ambitious professional, which is the kind of bullshit smoke that, you know, all these people want blown up their ass. Boop. Martin is resolute. Irene is arrogant. This game is bullshit. Okay. Alright. I thought I was going to get to interview two people and make decisions about them on who to hire, but apparently all the decisions will be made for me, and those decisions will be made by somebody who thinks that this is how business works. If someone who was hiring somebody for a job in the United States, in an office, wrote on the official paperwork, or on the official data in the computer, pretty but sloppy, that dude or dudette would be fucking fired. Because you're not hiring people based on looks. That would eventually come back to bite the person in the ass. So, bullshit. And no manager is going to have somebody come in and say, you know, how would you describe yourself? And then have a woman say, you know, whatever answer I put. You know, I'm a hard worker and I'm, you know, very well, you know, I'm very knowledgeable about the subject and blah, blah, blah. No employer is going to go, oh, she's fucking arrogant. I asked her if she was good enough for the job, and she said yes. What an arrogant airhead. No, that's not how it works. You're full of shit. All right, let's go through this. Boop. Did you check on our website what our core business is? Of course, business intelligence and maintenance functions. Of course, B2B and B2C consultancy. I did, but I didn't fully understand. Since I have no option to actually look at your websites, I have no fucking idea. So. Not exactly. Our mission is total customer satisfaction through just-in-time delivery of full stack, support based on state-of-the-art technology. Okay. I don't know, technical mumbo-jumbo. I see. Have you got the necessary skills for the job you applied for? Absolutely. First of all, you'd have to be, why would you waste your time going to a job interview if you're going to say no way? I think so is something nobody would be stupid enough to say. So you got to go with absolutely. Okay, so both of us are skilled. Hey, finally, this is... What is the point of comparing two HR recruiters at two different companies? Business services and studio team. This makes no sense. All right. How do you see yourself in 20 years? On a Caribbean beach with a drink, wrong answer. With an established career and family, of course. Focused on my goals, I don't know. Oh, God. Pregnancy alert? Really? I know some game developers who are drowning in their own bullshit. They are drowning in their own bullshit and they cannot see the surface. Here's the deal with that. I have news for you guys developing the game. If this was the sole determinant or determining factor, no women would have jobs at all. If managers just went around saying, "Do you ever want a family?" and, the woman applying for the job said yes or maybe, then if you believe this is how corporate America works, there would be no women working at all in corporate America. So no, guys, I hate to shit on your parade, but you're working from some very biased positions here. Anyway. Oh, this is fucking annoying. Now we get to the point where I decide, do I upload this or not? This is not a simulator of... I thought I would get to interview people and make decisions. Instead, you guys are making all the decisions for me by creating a narrative about how I think for me without letting me have any say in what I actually believe. Okay, well, whatever. May I ask what your marital status is? I'm planning to move in with my partner, then we'll see. Not having a job prevents me from thinking about marriage. I enjoy being single. Isn't this question a bit off topic? It's not none of your business. I would doubt very much that you go for job interviews where they ask if you're plan to be married at some point. I think this is more bullshit that they're shoehorning into this to try to make their statement. It's a bit off topic. Reserved or bullshit? I don't know what bullshit means. Standard procedure. It is not standard procedure. I have never been asked if I plan to get married at any job interview I've gone to. You guys are absolutely incorrect. Unless it's a thing about, the country of origin for the developer. Alright, so... Surprise, surprise. The female applicant gets sent away for the same answers, while the male applicant is not sent away. What a big fucking surprise. You guys don't know how... Oh, wait. The HR manager's name was Mr. White. Oh, that's so amazing. The gross earnings for each hour of work in the EU is 16% lower for women compared to men. That is absolutely not true. Here's the deal. I didn't know it was going to be one of these types of games. We're going to get a little political here, but all I'm going to do is state a fact. If you don't want to get into that, feel free to skip ahead or to leave. The gross earnings... Actually, this is a true statement, but it's misrepresented, is what I should say. Gross earnings are 16% less for women because there are less women in high-paying jobs. Because there are less women in the workforce in general. You know, in terms of overall statistics, you know, time spent off, so on and so forth. Women take more, you know, vacation time, more time off for health reasons, more, you know, et cetera and so forth. They take less jobs in general. And, you know, whether you would call it the glass ceiling or not, irrespective of that, there are less women in high-paying positions of, like, CEOs, surgeons, etc. That is why the gross earnings are lower. It's not due to, you know, this is the thing. They're establishing in this game that women are sent away from jobs for being pushy and or bullshit or whatever the fuck they put, and, you know, sloppy but pretty or whatever. That's not what the cause of this gross earnings deficit is. The gross earnings deficit is because you're not going to get any two groups of people who earn 50% of something. You cannot compare two groups of people and say each one should be earning the same gross earnings, because that would mean both groups of people have to have identical lives, identical choices, identical jobs, identical everything. For example, I think the top grossing demographic in America is Asian men. So are we going to sit here and say gross earnings for each hour of work in the EU is 16% lower for white men compared to Asian men? I mean, do you see the problem there? You're getting into racism. You're getting into, you know, you're getting into a territory where you're discussing race as if it's a determining factor of these things. So, you know, to say gross earnings for each hour of work in the EU is 16% lower for women compared to men, kind of sexist. I mean, you're assuming that the only reason men make more is because they're men, which is not the case, as I've said. Less, you know, CEOs, surgeons, the top jobs, those throw the data way off. Those, you know, those are like the big, you know, huge money-earning things. You know, you hear about the top 1% have more wealth than the bottom 99% or whatever the fuck. You know, that's how far off they throw all the numbers. So, when you look at the fact that women who are not in the same positions... You know, here's the thing. Here's the best way to illustrate it. Gross earnings is essentially the same as saying, this woman who is a kindergarten teacher doesn't earn the same as this man who is a college dean. So you see what the disparity is there. Now, if you flip that, you could say this male kindergarten teacher doesn't make as much as this female college dean. Does that mean that of those two, a male kindergarten teacher and a female college dean, does that mean that the man is being paid less because he's male? Or is it because he's working a different job in a different, you know, a totally different area of teaching? You know, that's what this gross earning thing boils down to. This is that wage gap thing. And it's based on the fact that people are working different jobs for different amounts of time. Men are way more likely to put in overtime, for example. So, you know, when I looked at this game, I thought, okay, interview simulator. What I got was social justice warrior indoctrination game. So yeah, I mean, let's try it again. I want to test something out here. Let's do everything differently. I'll wear my jewelry, ready to go. Now she's gonna look pretty, I would assume. Oh, he's wearing jewelry. Is he gonna get? He's gonna get a negative because he's wearing jewelry, and the person's gonna say something like "looks gay" or something. I bet that's what they're gonna write in this game. I bet that's what they're gonna put. Weird looking. Yep. Weird look, in quotation, in parentheses, gay. Absolutely fucking not. You guys are full of shit. If that was the case, there would be no people who quote-unquote look gay working in goddamn professional America. Or the EU, sorry. I keep localizing it to America because that's where I'm from. If this were the case, you know, rampantly enough for you guys to bother making a game educating everyone about it, if that were the case, there'd be no dudes like Martin working in the goddamn offices. Okay. What do you mean I don't get it? Boop. Fretful and fretful. Okay. I didn't, but I understand. I'll explain. Okay. Oh, I got nothing for saying I don't know what type of work they do at all. I didn't get any negative thing about anything. Okay. Have you got the necessary skills for the job you applied for? No way. Not skilled, not skilled. Okay, so we both are even on that. Oh, he got sent away. He got sent away strictly for wearing an earring. This game, certainly Mr. White. Okay, certainly Mr. Cis White Male. During her average lifetime, the average woman in the EU... Wait a minute! I thought this was about how the interviewer thought that the guy looked gay. Now you're giving me a statistic about the wage gap again? The same exact statistic, which is we've already sort of debunked? That's weird. I thought it was about him getting sent away. Alright, well, whatever. I guess it's never about him. Okay, I better not. So we're not going to look quote-unquote gay, and this is the game... This is the way the game has written it. This is not my own personal position. Good looks, pretty but sloppy. So at the interview, yes. I'm going to see if there's any way to win this. I'm going to try it one more time, and if I can't get to that point, I'm going to say there is no way to actually win, and you always lose, and it always tells you it's because of the patriarchy or whatever. Okay. Why anxious? Why did that come up with anxious? That makes no sense. Anxious for that answer. It makes no sense. Alright. You just penalized me for no reason. No way. Okay, so she got sent away. Let's see. Alright, let's try this one more time. I said I'd do it one more time, but I really am interested. In the USA, women who work full-time are paid 21% less than men. That is not true. They work jobs that are less highly paid than men. This goes back to the same thing. Just because you're working full-time doesn't mean that you're working the same job that someone else is. You have to take a male waiter and a female waitress and compare their pay. You have to take a male CEO and a female CEO and compare their pay. You have to take a male teacher and a female teacher and compare their pay. You can't take the entire pool of men and the entire pool of women and then just compare them whole cloth. Because in that group you've got predominantly male CEOs, predominantly male surgeons. In the other side you've got predominantly stay-at-home mothers, predominantly female teachers and nurses who are underpaid. You know, these are real problems. Teachers and nurses need to be paid better. But you're not going to achieve this sort of goal by misrepresenting the problem. You know, find me someone out there, you know, find me a female worker in the same exact job as someone else who is paid 21% less than a guy working the same job in the same place. You know, because you could go to that thing where you say, this, teacher from Detroit is making less than this teacher from the Hamptons or whatever the fuck. I don't even know if the Hamptons have a fucking school. I don't know anything about the place. But you could say, this person from this poor area is, paid less than this person from this rich area. It still is a faulty statistic. It has to be same place, same job. Then is there any difference in the pay? You can't just do this whole cloth thing. Because if you do this, you might as well say, in the USA, men get such and such percent less time off than women. Men don't get as much time off as women in the USA from their job. Isn't that unfair, and shouldn't we change that? And the answer would be no, because women have different types of time off, and you would defend that, saying no, that men shouldn't get time off for everything that women do, etc. and so forth. So you can't compare the two things and say this is unfair. I don't know. This is a fucked up video and a fucked up game. I want to see if there's any way to win. No jewelry, because we don't want to... We're going to try to piss the guy off toward the guy on something else, because he's going to be pissed off at the girl about this. Let's start the interview. How would you describe yourself? Alright, I think that they both get a hit if I do this, so that'll keep us even. I don't think this matters. So, I think so. Nothing changed there. Okay, okay, so we know that if we put family, he's going to write pregnancy alert, and then it's going to be like, yuck, 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 yuck. Caribbean beach with a drink. Would that look worse for him than her? Let's find out. Lazy arse and kept woman. Give me a fucking break. Nobody would write this on a goddamn job. Alright, you guys are full of shit. This game is shit. The developers don't know what they're doing. My name is Tormental. If you disagree, let's discuss it in the comments below. Let's have a discussion about it. If not, then I don't know. Go download this game and play it for yourself and see if there's any way to win. Alright, goodbye everybody.